Sometimes we use the word Renaissance to talk about revival of something generally, but in art history, Renaissance means something very specific. It means the rebirth of the culture of ancient Greek and ancient Rome, which we call the classical period or classical antiquity. We are in Santa Maria Novella, a numerous Dominican church in Florence. We've just come from the cloistered graveyard. The first thing we see across these numerous expanses is Massachusetts, the Holy Trinity with the Virgin Mary and Saint John. Although this painting has a long and complicated history of being moved and restored, the doorway we walk in and the view that we got was likely the view that the public got in the early 15th century when Massachusetts painted it. The subject is the Holy Trinity. According to the Catholic doctrine, God is God the Father, the Son Christ, and the Holy Spirit. This was fairly standard motif. This elder figure that represented God the Father, the dove is represented the Holy Spirit, and Christ is on the crucifix. This is known as the throne of the mercy. The idea is that this throne is the throne of judgment, that without Christ, man can be saved. On the side of the Holy Trinity, we see Mary. She gestured Christ and God. She acts as an intercessor, an intermediary between us, the divine word, and point to Christ and God. Opposite her stands Saint John. All of those divine figures occupy the same spaces. Outside of that spaces, we see two kneeling figures, a man on the left, a woman on the right. These are patrons who commissioned this fresco. If you look at them closely, you see that they look straight ahead. And it makes sense precisely because Massachusetts is using linear perspective. This is one of the earliest use of linear perspective, rediscovered by Brunelleschi less than a decade before. Massachusetts is using linear perspective to create a convincing illusion that this is not a wall, but in fact the spaces of chapel. The linear perspective is made of three components, most importantly a vanishing point. According to the Everty, who published a book called On Painting, soon after this painting was made, linear perspective works best when the vanishing point is at the eye level of the viewer. And indeed, that is precisely where Massachusetts has placed it. The center of the composition, just a few inches above my eye level. From it radiates a series of the orthogonals, elastic diagonals that appear to recede in spaces. They are the agents that created the illusion of depth on the flat surfaces. And then, the third phase is horizontal line, defined by the bottom step. Brunelleschi and Massachusetts could look back a century to another great Italian master, Giotto, and his massive crucifixion. He was perhaps one of the first artists to think about the representation of the human body, using light and shadow to define its forms, to begin to pay attention to anatomy of the body, to render Christ as physical.